Integrity Watch. As we stated, this is a program produced by Centaur, and this is an activity of our National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, which is also called NIMBA. And this program is being funded entirely by the government and people of Sweden through the Swedish International Development Corporation Agency, SIDA. And we are implementing several activities as part of this NIMBA program, one of which is our Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. This center is there staffed with lawyers and other professionals. And the core responsibility of the center is to receive allegations of corruption from you, members of the public. So wherever you are, wherever space you are, you're working somewhere, you're in the private sector, in the public sector, and you realize that there is corruption or you see signs of corruption, the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center is there for you. You can just place a call 4432, and it's free of charge. You don't need to have a unit in your phone. All you need to have is a phone that is charged and that is able to make a call. And once you call the 4432 number, the lawyers at Centaur will receive your complaint and they will act appropriately. Don't be afraid. There are sufficient protection for you whistleblowers. If you report allegation of corruption, nobody's going to know your identity. Centaur is going to protect your identity. So you should need not to be afraid. There is a law already available that protects you whistleblowers. It's called the whistleblower law. And there's another law that protects those who like to testify against corrupt people in court, and it's called the Witness Protection Law. So those regulations are in place. They have been enacted, signed into law. They are operational. So you need not to be afraid. There's no need for panic. You can report corruption to Centaur by dialing 4432, and it's free of charge. Some complaints we received, oh, if I report, my name is going to be out there and people are going to come out for me. I mean, you have to rest assured that nobody's going to know your identity. Nobody's going to disclose your identity. Centaur is going to do its own investigation. The lawyers are trained enough to know that those who report corruption need to be protected. So you can go rest assured that your identity will be protected. Other means through which you can reach out to ILAC is through email. You can send an email to ilac@centaur.org.lr, or you can visit our Facebook page, Centaur ILAC, CENTALALAC. Once you access that, you can make use of the messenger and leave a message. Centaur ILAC will receive your message. You can also send a WhatsApp message to 0555 Again, it's 0555 Once you use that medium to send your complaint of corruption, Centaur ILAC will receive your complaint and act appropriately. We also have several other activities that we just gloss through some of them that we are implementing as part of the National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, one of which is our Integrity Club Outreach Program, where we work with young people. We are cognizant that young people are very key. They are key players in the fight against corruption because corruption affects everyone, including young people. And if we have a future where we will have transparency, accountability, and people of integrity taking up leadership roles, we will have to invest in the next generation. And that happens to be the young people. That is why we're working at universities, 4 universities, with our Integrity Club Outreach Program. We're training those young people. We are turning them into anti-corruption ambassadors, and they are going around preaching anti-corruption messages across their universities and including some high schools and in their communities. We also have our open expenditure initiative where we work with county officials. We train county service center officials and members. We also work to train and build the capacity of county council members and other county officials to ensure that there is transparency in regards to the expenditure of public resources. Because we all know the new local government law allows the county councils to have the power to generate revenues on behalf of the counties and to make appropriations for expenditure of those revenues. So how do we ensure that in a decision making process of where or how the funds should be expanded, how do we ensure that those decisions or the processes are transparent? So we work with them, we train them, we empower them, we build their capacities to ensure that they can mainstream transparency and accountability in regards to how those funds are expanded. We also have our state of corruption report that we produce annually, and we expect to have an edition of that report released by December this year. It's annual, so every December, hopefully January, we should be releasing the state of corruption report. And that report sort of gives a picture of what corruption looks like in Liberia. It's an analysis of the trends of corruption. It includes qualitative and quantitative research, and it also includes desk reviews and a lot of other things. So, in case you want to know what does corruption look like in Liberia, if you're looking for data, if you're looking for information about corruption, you need not go anywhere else than to access our state of corruption report. That report has it all about corruption, all you need to know about corruption. And we are in the process of developing the 2024 edition of the State of Corruption Report. So watch out for that. We also have our Joint Civil Society and Anti-Corruption Initiative, and that initiative works with civil society organizations, some of them community-based civil society organizations, all in the spirit of promoting the fight against corruption, promoting integrity, accountability, and transparency at the community levels. And gladly today we have two distinguished members of that initiative, which is also called JOCSAI, as our guest today, and they will be talking about some of the things that they're doing at JOCSAI as a group, not as an organization, because each of those individuals or these individuals have has an, an organization or a group, but then they're working under this umbrella conglomerated through the initiative of Centaur to ensure that we can work together. For so long in Liberia, we've had civil society organizations working splendidly with different groups and different ideas and different aspirations and doing different things. But then we thought, so, well, can we have all of those groups together, working under one umbrella, working together to achieve one thing, which is to ensure we promote a culture of transparency and the fight against corruption in Liberia. And that's how come we have JOCSAI. So if you ever thought that civil society organizations cannot work together, you have to think again, because JOCSAI is an example of how successful when you conglomerate civil society organizations together, how successful it can be. JOCSAI has been around for a couple of years now, and they've been doing a lot. They've been organizing matches, they've had petitioning, they have done a lot of things, all geared towards promoting the culture of transparency and helping in the fight against corruption. And we have Perry Duogon. Perry happens to be the current chair of JOCSAI, and he also represents the Let's Care Africa Foundation. And we also have Adolphus Banks. Adolphus represents the Life Center for Youth Development and Empowerment, which is also a member of the Joint Civil Society and Anti-Corruption Initiative, JOCSAI. And right after our break, we will be talking about what they are doing as JOCSAI, what are their plans, what are some of the activities that they've engaged into, and a lot more. So we'll take a short break, and when we return, we will go straight to our guests. Welcome back to the program Integrity Watch. And as we stated, we have two members of our joint civil society and anti-corruption initiative, which is also called JOCSAI. And they are in studio to talk about the activities of JOCSAI. And in case you do not know what JOCSAI is, JOCSAI is a conglomeration of civil society organizations supported by Centaur, funded by Centaur to support the National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Initiative. So these are people, they derive their plans, they are somehow, uh, they're supervised by Centaur, but they develop their own plans and activities. And these activities and plans are geared towards supporting the fight against corruption in Liberia. And we have Perry Duogon, who is the current chair of JOSA, and he represents the last Let's Care Africa Foundation. And Adolphus Banks is also here as a very, very pivotal member of JOSA, and he represents the Life Center for Youth Development and Empowerment. And he is the executive director or country director of that organization. And Perry is the executive director for Let's Care Africa Foundation. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome, Mr. Blow.
Welcome, Chief.
Okay, so before we begin the discussion, there are a lot of things I would like to throw out, especially from the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission recently released a report on compliance with the asset declaration regime. And we will just read a few bars of what were released by the LSCC. And it says the LSCC report states that only 322 persons out of a possible 1,281 public officials have declared their assets, incomes, and liabilities. Just imagine that 322 persons complied with the asset declaration regime of the LSCC out of 1,281. All right. That is very concerning. And we would like to get a breakdown of some of the figures released by LSCC. They say in light of in the legislative branch of the total number of 73 elected representatives. Of that number, only 26 representatives were compliant with the asset declaration. So only 26 out of 73 persons declared their assets, incomes, and liabilities, demonstrating their commitments to the rule of law, while 47 were non-compliant. 47 members of the House of Representatives were non-compliant. Now it goes to say of the 56 administrative staff of the House of Representatives that were identified, only one staff complied, demonstrating commitment to the rule of law. Out of 56 staff who were identified by the LACC to declare their assets, only one. So 55 decided that they are not going to declare their asset. They are not going to disclose what they have, but they will serve as public officials. They will enjoy the trust and the confidence of the public, but they're not going to declare their assets. 55 out of 56. Still in the legislative branch, the LACC report says of the total number of 30 elected senators, only 12 complied, demonstrating their commitment to the rule of law, while 18 senators were non-compliant. 18 senators decided and said, well, I am not going to declare my asset. I am not going to do that. 18 senators. But in the same vein, those 18 senators want to continue to enjoy the trust and the confidence of the people, but they do not want to be accountable. They don't want to declare their assets. All right. They say in the executive branch, Of the 1,281 officials appointed who are required to declare their assets, only 322 officials fully complied with the declaration requirement, while 959 are non-compliant. 959 officials appointed by the president who were vetted, who were confirmed, and who are working for the people of Liberia decided and said, I am not going to declare my assets, or we are not going to declare our assets, income, and liabilities. Okay. There are 44 administrative staff of the House of Senate that were identified uh, as 44 administrative staff were identified to be non-compliant at the Liberian Senate. All right. We move to say to read this. We also received, LCC says that they received 84 assets declaration from non-appointed employees of government, thus bringing the total number of asset declaration received from the executive branch of government to 406, demonstrating their commitment to transparency. In the judiciary branch, the LACC report states that a total number of 333 persons are required to declare their assets. 333 persons are required to declare their assets in the judiciary branch. But of that number, only 28 officials were in compliance. Out of 333, only 28 were in compliance, including 7 judges. 7 judges of all of the judges we have, 7 judges and 21 administrative staffs were in compliance, demonstrating their commitment to transparency, while 305 were non-compliant. 305 officials of the executive branch of government. Out of 333, 305 said they are not going to declare their assets. Well, compare. Let's talk to our guests, and maybe we can have a reflection on this later on. But let's jump into our discussion. Welcome, Perry. How is JOCSAI? How are you guys doing? What are some of the activities you've been up to of recent?
All right, so thank you, Blamod. So at JOSAT, yeah, the team is good. Um, we are coordinated on some of our plan for the 2024 action.
Mm.
And of recent, we just completed the community dialogues, anti-corruption dialogues in communities. The last one was conducted in the police academy community.
Mm.
And that dialogue had a total number of 38 persons. Uh, so we are currently proceeding with our integrated series. The first section in it from CO, and then we are now on the C Street where we have the CIF.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Here you talk about the dialogue that you had recently, and then the integrity series. First, the dialogue. What do you intend to get out of that dialogue? What is the objective of having a dialogue with community leaders?
So basically, the data, one of the key objectives of the dialogue is to increase awareness on transparency and accountability
Mm.
from the community level, to have community dwellers or citizens who don't have access to information at the national level, or who are not fortunate to listen to radios, to go on the social media, to have access to these informations, and how they can be able to guide themselves, as well as knowing their roles and responsibilities in the
Mm.
fight against corruption as citizens. Because many a times when we talk about corruption, people think that it is only within the government sector or bigger institutions. But a very corruptions that go to government and bigger institutions starts where within our communities, in our homes. So it's important that people get to know their roles and responsibilities as citizens in the in the fight against corruption, and the importance of fighting corruptions, and knowing what impacts corruption have on us as a citizens, as a country, and if we do um, galvanize ourselves and commit ourselves to fighting it, what will be the impact?
Okay, Adolphus, tell us a little bit about this integrity series and what it's all about. Why have you guys decided to have an integrity series as JOCSAI?
All right, thank you, Blambo. Josa, the importance of having this integrity series is to promote the culture of transparency.
Mm,
That is to have citizens getting involved with the fight against corruptions
mm,
so that our country can be better. When you have these kind of discussions with a broad perspective, you have a lot of recommendations and questions. So sometimes we take key recommendations into considerations and work on it as well.
mm.
So the importance is just have citizens involved in the fight against corruption.
Okay, let's come to some of your other activities. I know you have series of them. What are some of your major activities that you've planned to carry out, Perry?
As it stands the from JOSAT, we currently have a peaceful assembly that we are
Okay.
working on uh, by next week. So we currently have the different formalities around that to get it done, and that's going to be around calling on the president of Liberia, His Excellency President Joseph Boakai, to commission the establishment of the Witness Protection Unit
Mm,
under the Witness Protection Agency, because we see it as necessary to be done. If we are honest and serious about the fight of corruption, we should be able to implement the full policies or full documents that are around fighting corruption. Uh, like we all know, basically the issue of corruption remains key, especially in our governance setting,
mm,
our country. If we are serious about development, if we are serious about good governance, we have to fight corruption from every angle. And in order to do that, we must commit ourselves to doing nothing but the right thing. So the Wisdom Protection Agency unit have a whole work that should be done because there are different components of the government that should be working with that. Um, we have, if you're talking about corruption cases, prosecutions, investigations, all of them brought down on witness testimonies. So in order to have people coming forth, already people are afraid about, coming up to speak in our governance set in our
mm,
country against those things because there is less security.
mm.
So people wouldn't want to have a kind of insecurity to come about to say what they are aware of or what they know. The only way to do that is to be able to give them that kind of protections. And the unit that is responsible for giving that protections is the Waste Protection Unit.
Okay, so I mean, let's talk to Adolfo. So, what do we stand to lose as a country if we do not establish this witness protection unit? Currently, yes, we don't have it in full operation. What are we losing? What do we stand to lose?
Yeah, we will lose integrity
Mm,
because we will find out that citizens will see uh, corruptions happening in so many places because of fear, because of lack of justice systems. So because of that, they will have to uh, stay away from reporting corruption cases. So at the end of the
mm,
day, we will find out that corruption will keep going on and on and on and on. One of the world's greatest development obstacles is corruption. So if we must be developed, it means that we should have so many systems put into place, like the Witness Protection Agency that will safeguard citizens, that they will come out and express themselves. They will not be afraid to speak up whenever they see corruption issues, and it will also help to protect their family. So if you have that protection agencies into place, you'll find out that citizens will come up. But if we don't do it, we will still have the same issues about corruption on and on and on.
yeah, I mean, before your before the sit-in action at the executive mansion that you're planning, did you, conduct some engagements? Did you meet with the people around the president I mean, have you engaged a lot around that before you take the action that you're planning to take?
Yeah, so what happened is that we, in recent time, we met with the LCC
Mm,
because the LCC played a major role in implementing the Geneva Act.
mm.
So we met with the LCC and then they were clear that there's a need for this, the unit to be established. To be honest, we have of the hope that that unit will be established and brought forth to the president's attention. Now that he even most of the courage to appoint an ombudsman, we believe that those are steps that give us the hope that when we take on the actions or we have the engagement, the unit will be established. Like I said earlier, it's a matter of us that we have it because even in testifying, there's too many different things that the witness going to go through. And in order to put their regulations into place on how they can be in the right man because to go in court and testify on cases it involves psychosocial issues and we have the unit. It is a unit because there's a component that should be under that unit directly for psychosocial that will be able to deal with the witnesses. And then we have several other things that our unit needs. So in order for the person, it's not just about the person going to the court to say what they don't know.
Mm.
There are a lot of things that involve, and those things must be done.
So, I mean, during your engagements with the LECC, what did they say was the hiccup to the establishment of that unit?
So the commission herself, Madam Alexandra So,
Mm.
she acknowledged that and she said she's waiting to support or in fact she called that we should help in the process. They called on civil society organizations, underground institutions to help in the process because the work they cannot do the work alone. So whatever it is, the only thing is that we should be in right standing in accordance with law
Mm.
so that we can have this achieved. So currently we have a plan meeting, we have a plan engagement with the Justice Ministry because that unit also the Justice Ministry takes huge uh, work. The Justice Ministry have a huge responsibilities
Mm.
in conducting that unit after its establishment. In fact, the Justice Ministry should also form part of the establishment. So if the president is commissioning that, the Justice Minister should be in the LCC should be into forming that unit. And so we currently have this engagement with the Justice Ministry. We have sent the communication. We're hoping to have a feedback between now and Friday so that we can be able to meet with them and have this discussion with them and how we're going to go about the peaceful assembly.
Yes, I mean, to you, Adolphus, you are pushing for the establishment of the Witness Protection Unit, and that means people testifying against corrupt officials will be protected sufficiently. But then there's also another very key challenge that needs to be addressed, which is having those cases prosecuted in the first place. There is this law that is called statute of limitation that prohibits or sort of affects prosecution of corruption cases. So for example, of a case stays up to 5 years, the law says that that particular case has passed the statute in the limit of prosecution. So what are you doing in as much as you're working around ensuring that witnesses are protected? What are you doing to ensure that corruption cases are actually prosecuted and the statute of limitation is reviewed? Do you have work around that?
Yeah, so basically, the issue of a study of limitations, I think, is significance that we remove study of limitations around corruption because you just spoke about time. So with the time free, you will find out that individuals who carry on corruptible act, they would be scot free without them being investigated or
Mm.
something like that. So basically, around the study of limitations, I think it's necessary that we get it off around corruption cases.
Do you have work around that as JOSA? Are you planning engagements or are you planning activities to ensure that that particular part of the law is somehow amended or repealed or whatever?
Yes, yeah, we have engagements around that.
Mm.
That is, we have engaged with the LDCC and we planning to engage with that of the justice ministries
Mm.
so that we can all have a dialogue around that.
Okay, you want to chip in some of your other activities that you're doing
All right,
around
yes.
that?
So like a double like they said, Those are all part of our engagement, and we see it as a
Mm,
serious issue because while we're like for example, somebody is caught up with a $1 million corruption case,
mm,
and we know um, what $1 million could do
mm-hmm,
in terms of even alleviating people from poverty in our country. Our country is on a hot line when it comes to the poverty index. So why would somebody commit such act and then we say after 5 years
mm.
the case, I mean, we cannot pursue that case because of statute of limitation. It's something that must be dealt with, removed. And the way to go about that is to be able to engage with the legislators
Mm.
because they had constitutional power to do that, to be able to amend laws. So the way to do that is to get engaged with the legislators. Yes, we are planning something around that we can be able to meet with the speaker, have a communication to the speaker, meet with him, meet with other lawmakers to see whether we can have these conversations and as well there are other plans that we could also even do our assembly at the national legislators, whether in one of those sections we can go there with our placards, with our messages and our resolutions, and then we present something to them on why we see how we see it, why we want it off, and the importance and the possible outcome if removed, why the country stands to benefit. And it's a serious issue. We are actually is one of our major activity for this year before the year comes to an end.
Okay, you're listening to Integrity Watch, and this is your hour-long radio program that is produced by Centaur and is also an activity of Centaur's National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, which is supported by the government and people of Sweden through the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, SIDA. And we have today members of our joint civil society and anti-corruption initiative, which is also called JOSA. And Perry Dwogon represents Let's Care Africa Foundation. He's the current chair of the Joint Civil Society and Anti-Corruption Initiative. He's here along with Adolphus Banks. And we are talking about some of the activities of JOSA, their initiatives, their sit-in actions that they're planning around the witness protection, the establishment of the Witness Protection Agency, and also the repealing of the statutes of limitation of component of the laws of Liberia, or lawyers would say penal code or whatever code that is, but to repeal that particular portion that gives a specific limit, or maybe to extend the time, to extend the limitation to say, well, maybe not 5 years, but 10 years, because somebody may, take away, as you said, of $1 million and pillage $1 million
Yeah,
from the state
sure.
coffers, and it just escaped to one country, neighboring country, and then we just hear, and then after a year, everybody forgets about
Everybody
that,
forget.
and then the guy stays away, and after 5 years,
You got nothing to
and
do
he
about
comes
it.
back to Liberia and he's a free man. You even if you catch him, oh but man, start your limitation. I'm already free because I cannot be tried now because the law says after 5 years you cannot try me. So these are some of the things that they are working on to ensure that that particular law is repealed, and they are making efforts. And so if you're out there, you would like to participate, the time is now yours to call. The way to do it is to dial 0777285 961, 0777285 961. And once you dial that number, you're going to be live on the program Integrity Watch. We have this caller. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Jonathan when I do join you from Kakata Magibi County.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, let me also employ in 2 years and I really love the idea that they are talking about convention in Nigeria, which is a higher increase in our country. But let me ask this. For example, what are some of the evidences if you having to how they going to make a report to the NCC that what are some of the evidence that you can carry along with you, whether you can carry picture or I mean let me just say, some of the evidence that you have on the person now
Okay.
before accusing them.
Okay. Thank you very much. They will respond to that question. Let's see whether we can have this person. Uh, let's see whether I can take this person. Good morning. Good morning. Um, yes. So yes, you can respond to the question.
All right, so I think his concern is what evidence do you present when you are testifying against someone?
Let's take this person, and then you can respond. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's hear you. Your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah. This is calling from Jackson community.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys if someone wants to testify against corrupt official,
Hmm.
would they protect the person?
Okay. Thank you very much. They will respond to that question. Thank you very much. And yes, you can respond quickly to those concerns. Quickly,
All right,
the two concerns.
all right. So the first quarter, so we we are not the law did not spare out what kind of evidence you're going to present.
Hmm.
But what we do believe is that the prosecutor have their own I call it procedures and what they tend to identify in order to know whether that case has a merit and can be pursued. So there, like for example, if you place in the court maybe this case and you went and say you want to testify, they are going to guide you. They are going to request the different evidence that they want from you to
Okay.
authenticate that case. So we can't sit here. I wouldn't want to sit there and tell you this evidence, because every case has their own stuff. And I'm not a legal person to say you're going to do
Okay.
that. But what I can assure is that they're going to ask you for the different evidence in order to authenticate the information that you are providing and whether it is adjudication. Let me say it's adjudicatable.
Okay. The second question was about as to whether they would they have sufficient protection with the report of case of corruption.
All right. So like we said earlier, yes, every witnesses that go to testify, you have protection by law. The Witness Protection Agency has um, this law that going to protect you,
Hmm.
protect your family, and make sure that in fact your identity is not shown to the public.
Hmm.
Whether before or after that case, you will never be shown. Your identity will never be shown. Nobody will know whether it is you. So there are different security measures that are put into place, very high security measures, and we can assure you that whoever you are that you want to testify, do not be afraid. We'll have logs and I mean every other things have been put up to be able to protect you, but that security measure put into place to protect witnesses.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from Adolphus parting comments because we are running very, very, very fast out of time.
Yeah, so thank you, Namo. Uh, to just respond to both just the questions, the last questions.
You can use that as your parting comments as well.
Okay. Basically, you don't have to be afraid whenever you see any form of
Let's
corruption.
let's squeeze this person in quickly and then you just respond. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Let's take you quickly. Can you talk in a minute?
Okay. And I'm calling from Kakasa. Like, one of the, my name is Aloysius, actually, anyway.
Okay. Let's hear you.
Yeah, one of my colleagues just called from Canada as well.
Mm-hmm.
But all of our projects that are being initiated by some of our lawmakers, like where I live, I will not identify it because of the reason.
Mm-hmm.
The lawmaker initiated a project. It was kind of a bridge, little bridge now. Because I got a stream close to my house, and it was placed in the budget 64,000. Just suppose this current on the ground, it was 64,000. As we speak currently, the current one of the side is broken, and it's been because the force of current it was not properly done. So look at that. Is that a part of the corruption? You look at 64,000 and a project, something that don't even worth 5,000 value. Now look at that. So
Okay.
that's my thing. So when these kind of cases are reported, I guarantee you our life is placed in your hand as been said on radio by you.
So when you have a case of corruption, if you have such a case and there's skepticism around the cost of that particular project, you can call Center's Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. Take a picture of the property or the site, whatever that is, the project.
Mm.
And you can also, if you have, for example, information around how much it costs, you can also send those information to our Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. We have a WhatsApp number. We read you a WhatsApp number that you can send all those information to. You don't even have to call Center. You can send that to our WhatsApp number, which is 0555 722 You send a picture of the property. You send a picture of the whatever information you have concerning the cost of it, and the lawyers at Center will go to do their checks, and they will ask questions. They will do their due diligence. If there are semblance of corruption in that, it's a public money, and it will use in a way that it does not reflect value for money. Centire is going to take that case up by reporting it to the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. So you just play your role. And one concern you always shared is about whether I'll be protected. You can go rest assured that once you report an allegation of corruption to Centire, Centire is going to protect your identity. One of the key part of whistleblowing anywhere in the world is protecting
Protection.
the identity of those who blow whistle, because every anti-corruption advocate in the world knows that once you do not protect the identity of those who blow whistle, people are not going to blow whistle.
Sure.
The only way to encourage people to blow whistle is to protect
To
those who
protect.
blow whistle. So we are aware of that. So you need not to be afraid. Even at Centre, our Advocacy and Legal Advice Center, staff at Centre do not have access to some of those information. I don't even know who report, how many people report a case, who are those that report a case. Those information are kept confidential. And we can assure you, you need not to be afraid. All right, so let's take your parting comments, both of you, and then we can call this a day.
Yeah, so basically,
Maybe in 30 seconds because we are way out of time.
all right, yeah, so I'll be brief.
Mm.
This is to tell every one of you that is listening out there, report any form of corruption, be it
Mm.
petty corruptions or grand corruptions, report any form of corruption that you see happening in your community with your community chairman. This is the reason for which we are here today, to ensure that the Witness Protection Agency be established,
Okay.
because that will ensure justice. It will ensure a safe environment for citizens and their family against retaliations, and basically it's everybody's business. And the activities around that is to carry on a peaceful assembly. So if you wish to join our assembly, you can better still call Santide
Thank
office.
you. Thank you
You'll
very
get us.
much. Perry, let's hear you in 20 seconds.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Blambo. Again, Perry Drummond, representing the Let's Get Africa Foundations at the Joint Civil Society and the Corruption Initiatives.
Mm.
It was a pleasure being here. To the listening audience, we want to say thank you for your participation. Let us all join force and make Liberia a better country
Thank you
for
very
us.
much. My name is Edward Blamo. I've been your host, and I was here along with Mark W. Bondau and Sherman, and we together brought you this edition of the program Integrity Watch. Until next Wednesday, bye bye.